Serious, what is your crazy ex story? I was like 12 to 15. My ex-girlfriend liked to self-harm. She had a bunch of friends who got together and had like a cult and feed themselves and sent each other pictures. In that time frame, we broke up 3 times and each time she carved all 7 letters of my name into her leg. She showed all of my friends. Wouldn't let me talk to them when it got bad enough. And when I got into 9th grade I finally ended it and moved schools. She threatened suicide a lot as well. Was emotionally draining. We ended up talking in 2018 and hung out a bit. She still has the scars of my name in her legs. IDK, if this counts as an ex, met this lady in a club. We hit it off after a few dances and we are both horny and go to Walmart to get some condoms because we are responsible. While in the store, I look at her and with a smile I jokingly say there doesn't seem to be a size small enough for me. I then paused. She suddenly looked like she got slapped with a wet trout and she stormed out of the store, leaving me to walk home in the rain a mile away. Sounds sad, but I was laughing and laughing harder after she called asking where I was and I told her to get lost because she had no sense of humor. Posted this a bit ago. Updated slightly below. I'm a 6'1" male. I got out of a relationship 4 to 5 years ago with a 5'3" very small woman. She was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. She would call and verbally abuse me, scream at me and demand attention. And if I didn't acquiesce to whatever she was demanding, or even tried to end the call, she would threaten to kill herself. I still remember feeling utterly trapped, listening to abuse, but not feeling like I had any choice because I would cause this person to commit suicide if I stopped. I broke it off, but to try to prevent that from triggering her suicide said I'd stay friends. She would send me hundreds of texts in a single day demanding that I get back together, threatening suicide unless I agreed to go on a real date or whatever. After 6 months of this, feeling terrorized and traumatized, I emailed her, told her I was so genuinely sorry I couldn't help in the way she needed, but I needed to stop for my own mental health, and hoped she found happiness. I stopped responding completely. She continued with the texts and attempted calls for a year afterwards, using apps to create temporary numbers since I would clearly block her. In the texts, she would twist what happened as me abusing her, claiming I was just using her for sex and I was gaslighting her into thinking she was ill and made her life difficult due to her hospitalizations. But 1. I'm undiagnosed depressed and suicidal myself, and though I have never asked for help, I sympathized with her and was so careful never to diagnose her. I would just listen and offer to help. 2. We stopped having sex long before we broke up, and I refused her clear attempts to initiate because I was terrified of her. 3. She was hospitalized at least 3 times. The first 2 were 100% her choice because she was suicidal. The last was her emailing me that she had taken a bottle of pills and demanded I come over. I called 911. Despite that, I could tell that she truly believed things happened the other way and she was a victim. Didn't even remember the way it happened. I still think of how, if this ever became public, she would claim I was the abuser and whether anyone would believe me defending myself. She still will text around holidays when she is triggered by loneliness. Most recently was a few weeks ago. I still don't respond. The messages are all of the "you ruined my life" and "I'm sorry I ever met you" variety. I'm still at moments so scared that she will ruin my life or find my new address. When I leave my apartment, I sometimes have a moment of panic imagining she has a full break with reality and is out there with a knife or something else. I was dating a girl for about a year. We were inseparable. Things were great, but eventually the honeymoon phase wore off and I didn't want to continue the relationship. I tried breaking up with her through text. Yes, I was that guy. Later that night she texted me a picture of my first name tattooed on her underboob. I was stupid and thought it was cool and a sign that she was committed to me. IDK, why I didn't see that as a red flag. Well, spent the next year and a half with her. One night after work I couldn't get a hold of her. Her phone was off until 10 that night. The next day she admitted that she had met a guy and spent the evening with him. Naturally I told her I was ending things and I was over the relationship. The next day, I get a picture of my last name tattooed on her pelvis. Fuck that. Enjoy having my full name tattooed on, you idiot. Not necessarily full out crazy, but troubled for sure. Started seeing this girl who was a bit older than me, and she was really nice. We quickly fell pretty hard for each other, and I honestly thought she was the one. And the feeling was mutual. Happily ever after, you say. Well, turns out that she has severe bipolar disorder, which is to my knowledge untreated. The relationship quickly turned into a very toxic all or nothing kinda deal, and we cycled between these two extremes constantly. She would take her emotional distress out on me very often, and was extremely jealous to the point that she was paranoid about my best friend. Now that friend is like a big sister to me, and I couldn't even imagine something happening between us. Eventually that exact friendship was the reason the whole thing fell apart. I admit, I lost my temper, and I lost it bad. I angrily ranted to her that this is no way to treat someone you supposedly love more than anything, and this is how her every relationship will end if she keeps this up. My criticism was not well received, nor am I too proud of what I said either. I got called a nutcase on multiple occasions. Well, I decided to stop by to apologize for my behavior. As one does. Bad idea. It backfired big time. I got some more insults about me and my friends. Some threats and some boasting about how everyone she knows hates my guts now. Eventually I snapped at her, telling her to stop the madness. She was deeply hurt but apologized. She explained that my fit of anger was a completely new thing to her, as I had never so much as raised my voice at her, and me showing my face in person afterwards really scared her. After all, she has a bit of a habit of lashing out when she's anxious, and I don't hold that against her. Finally it seemed like things were going in a better direction and we could remain friends, just as she had wished. And to be honest, I kinda did too. But then she just up and vanished. Wouldn't take my calls, nor would she respond to my texts, which I tried to send a few times in hopes of salvaging what little was possible and just to make sure she was okay. Now she's deleted all her social media and we haven't spoken to each other in months. Quite a sad story honestly, but what can ya do? I've moved forward with my life, but I do think about her here and there. Mostly wonder if she's okay. Early on she told me she was pregnant. We discussed the decision, and I said I would support her regardless, but I would keep it. She already had kids, so she wanted to get an abortion. I guess there's a pill you can take that ducks with you for some time. She was in awful pain for days. I was there every step of the way, especially for the emotional parts. Fast forward to a year later. I broke up with her because of other reasons. A lot of red flags. Anyway, there's the usual how ducking dare you do this type of yelling / angry texting from her, but I stayed calm. I guess that got to her. Then the crazy part happened. She tells me that the baby was her ex's. She became pregnant shortly before we got together. She was never going to tell me, even if she did have it. Those were her words. So I would have been clueless until I guess a baby came out that was a lot darker than me. So yeah, I'm glad the other red flags caused me to break up with her. Otherwise I don't know what would have happened. I broke up with a girl. As I left her house she ran after me whilst I was pulling out of the driveway in my car, and she promptly / accurately threw a Fray Bentus through the back windshield. Dated a guy for 4 years, and he had the craziest baby mama. She would show up at our place at 2 AM with the kids, 3 of them, leave them there, and by the time we'd get to the door she would be gone. Asked me all the time to adopt her youngest. Kept getting fired from jobs. Text us crazy things all the time. Just off her rocker. The kids moved in with us for about 6 months and she went Maya. We decided to get a lawyer for full custody. I changed jobs so I could work mon free and he could continue to work night shifts, so we didn't have to pay for a sitter. A couple weeks after filing, my BF went to work and then didn't come home for a few days, leaving me with the kids and couldn't get a hold of him. I was afraid I was going to get fired from missing work, so I finally called BF's mom worried, and a day later she found him and baby mama staying at a hotel together. The closest I have to crazy is an ex who would think I was pissed off when I started to focus on what it'd have to do as him leaving. My brain topic switches strongly, and I have almost zero ability to multitask. I've also been told that I wear my emotions on my sleeve. Instead of checking up on me or asking what I was thinking about, he'd always ask if I was upset with him. My current boyfriend has a wandering mind and I just ask him where he went each time. Tied to a bed, with her straddling me, she pulled out a knife and went on about feeding her blood rose and then procured a small glass case with a withered black rose in it from the side of her bed. None of this was planned. None of this was discussed. Nope, TF out of that relationship. I found out after the fact she had a serious heroin problem. Classy lady that one was. My first serious relationship happened when I was 17. We dated for 2 years and lost our virginity to each other. He ended up cheating on me with my manager at work, which led to us breaking up. He later committed suicide and his obituary was published in the paper. Me and my mom even attended his funeral. Years later my mom listed a bike for sale on Craigslist. My supposed to be dead ex-boyfriend shows up to buy it. He wasn't even shy and told my mom he used to date a girl who lived here. I was hiding in my room at the time and watched everything from the window. We were both shocked. We double checked Google and his obituary was still online. I reported him for tax fraud, but nothing was done. His family and love child think I'm sick for thinking he's still alive. His Facebook says in memoriam, but he has another one with a fake name and recent photos. His family think I control that one and Photoshop the pictures, but I don't have time for that kind of shit. Close bracket. I dated someone for a year and a half when I was 18 to 19. He would accuse me of cheating on him with my previous ex. Each time I went to do groceries or to the library, started crying when I sat too close to his cousin, who was my best friend and the one who introduced us. Tried to say I was going to leave him for his cousin because he was better looking. Talked about his rich excess non-stop to purposely make me insecure. And then when it worked, got upset with me for being insecure. Got physical with me multiple times, including one time where he sat on me, pinned my arms down with his knees, and forced me to slap him in the face. Forced me to have sex with him when I was in pain. Didn't care when I was crying, which I've recently been diagnosed with endometriosis, and that's why I was in pain. Told me he liked my abusive parents and said they did those things to you, not me. So why should I judge them on that? Became besties with my high school bully behind my back. Gossiped about me with her and his friends while we were still together. Turned everyone against me, so they thought that I was the crazy one. Broke up with me 4 times. Hit on my best friend and went with her to a strip club without me. Hacked into my EXS Facebook to delete my EXS mom because she commented on my prom picture that he was ugly. Constantly read my texts, Facebook messages, journal, and check my Snapchats. After we broke up, harassed me for moving on and that I started seeing someone who he thought was better looking than him. Tried to shame me for being over him and moving on. Called me a slut. Started sending me anonymous texts and messages, especially when I got a new boyfriend. I started getting messages asking how big my boyfriend's dick was. Took his ex on a trip that I planned before we broke up, and then texted me afterwards saying how much prettier and skinnier she was than me. I was 115 lbs. Openly stalked my Twitter, Facebook, and Tumblr, and then would text me and ask why I was posting certain things and what they meant. Even though I had him blocked on everything, he 100% continued cyber stalking me after I started dating someone new. He just stopped texting me about it, and that's when I started getting the anonymous messages. There's probably more, but that's what I can remember off the top of my head. Best friend of 10 years. Started dating. Year into it, things were getting bad. He got angry and kicked down my parents' front door. Then insulted my brother who has autism. Broke a bunch of shit and ended up in a mental hospital. Glad he's gone. I once had a girl cheat on me on my birthday and then told her friends about it while my sister was in the room. And then she thought that the fact that she cut the date short would make things alright. Dated in milliseconds. He broke up with me and a few years later ended up on the same bus in HS. Great. Had a few classes Tojaha. Even better. He asked me back out. I still liked him, so why not? Told him that afternoon I would. He laughs. Fast forward about 12 years. MW/my now hubs. He contacted me on FB. Hey, how's it been going? The whole nine. Wants to grab a few drinks to catch up. Okay, fine. Dave. He calls and says he can't, his kid is sick. Okay. He deletes me and kept sending friend requests. I asked him why I should accept his request when he keeps deleting me. Tells me his mom is deleting me. Yay, okay. Same old HSBS. He hooks up W/someone we were both friends W/in school, and she starts to send me crazy messages. Unfriend her, but and 10 years later, last week, he sends another friend request. Lol. No SRY buddy. Please subscribe and leave a like if you enjoyed this video and if you want to see more of Reddit universe.